fact that it's going to be super windy today. We still have to survive the storm surge, and hopefully you have evacuated and you're not going to be at risk.
And the little nudge that we have to the east as opposed to yesterday really doesn't change any of those projections we've been talking about for the last couple of days.
No, I mean, it's a rounding error. It's no big deal right now. The track is what it is. It's coming in toward the Collier County coast. We're guesstimating right now a possible landfall near Marco Island between 4 and 5 p.m. And then there will be, then the system will move northward along and through Lee County, then Charlotte, and even the inland counties will be affected equally.
And this picture we're looking and showing you right now is in Cape Coral at Tarpon Point, and you can see the water there. And as Jim mentioned, the water is down, so that water will be rising throughout the day. And again, you can see some pretty good sustained winds there at the Tarpon Point Marina, and we'll keep our eye on this because we have a crew stationed right there throughout the day.
If you can dial up our Sanibel, is that still Tarpon Point there?
Yes, yes.
You can dial up our Sanibel cam or our Wink News cam that shows Billy Creek, either one. Take a look at that, folks. You ought to capture that. You're not going to see that again in your lifetime, well, I hope. Look at that. Where's the water? It's out in the Gulf. It's coming back later, but boy, is that something that you'll be able to tell your kids and grandkids about. September 10, the anniversary of Donna, we had another major hurricane come through southwest Florida, and like Donna, that pushed water out initially, it happened again.
And just to give everybody a little orientation there, that is the Punta Rassa boat ramp. It's fading out of the screen there now on the left, but there's no water there. That's where people load their boats, and you see that long pier-like structure. It doesn't usually look that long because it's usually mostly in water. But that is just a lot of dry sand right there.
Even as far as the Caloosahatchee by Billy Creek here. Now, we're way up the river. We're not near the beach here at Wink News. We're near downtown Fort Myers, but the water has been drained out of Billy Creek as well, which goes into the Caloosahatchee, which goes out to the Gulf. So that land area near that boat toward the seawall, that is always covered up by water. But, you know, when we check back in before sunset, the water will be higher. So the water's lower now, but it'll snap back and then it will increase.
All right, let's go back to Cape Coral for a second. Brooke is, we have one of our reporters, Brooke Schaefer, in that shot at Tarpon Point that we were just showing you, that live picture. That's where she is. There she goes. Hi, Brooke.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
So we are in southwest Cape Coral right now, and Jim has been talking about these wind gusts that feel like they're just pushing you over. That's what we're experiencing right now. We've got rain sort of coming in sideways, those wind gusts coming in too. But I want to show you guys Tarpon Point Marina. We keep showing you guys this picture because of how impressive it is. Look at all of these boats out here in the marina. You can see these sailboats. They're going back and forth, starting to sway here in the wind. And Jim was talking just a few moments ago about boaters being concerned with the slack in the line, worried about when this water does start to come up. We actually spoke with a boater yesterday. He said that was his exact concern. He's worried he may not have enough slack in his line, that when these waters do start to come up, that could be a problem for him and his boat. We also want to show you guys these winds that we're really starting to feel here. You can look at these palm trees. They're starting to sway and start to bend in the wind. That is something to really look at, these massive trees just being pushed over by this wind. And that is exactly why first responders are saying to stay indoors. These winds have been consistently increasing for us here in southwest Cape Coral, and that has been the story from yesterday to today. Just about a couple of hours ago, Cape Fire actually tweeted out saying that they have reached that max capacity, those 40-mile-an-hour winds. They are not sending their first responders out into this weather. So if you are home in Cape Coral, your best bet, stay indoors and wait until this storm passes, and then those first responders will be able to help you. I also want to show you guys this parking garage where we are. We're actually on top of the parking garage near the Westin Hotel. It's right behind me. Lots of cars here. The hotel is actually cleared out. They evacuated on Friday. This parking garage, though, is filled with cars, people trying to get their cars up to higher ground. Just about 20 minutes ago, we actually saw a couple of drivers coming here. They were dropping off their cars. Even if it's going to be outside, they wanted it on higher ground. People here in Cape Coral worried about that storm surge. You can also see these light poles up here. They've been swaying in the wind. That just is an indication of how strong these winds are here in Cape Coral. Again, we are getting those gusts that feel like they are just pushing pushing you over. And guys, I think even we are going to be starting to head indoors as, again, you can see these winds and the rain only getting stronger here in Southwest Cape Coral. For now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, thank you very much, Brooke. We appreciate that report. Now, we asked for some pictures from you, and we are getting them. So we wanted to show you some of the pictures, and for those of you who don't have power, we'll describe them as best we can when we see them. The first one here is coming to us from a viewer who is along the Caloosahatchee River in Fort Myers. You can see the water is low there right now, experiencing the same type of thing as Cape Coral and other parts that are ahead of the hurricane, where the water is low. It's being sucked out of the river right now.
It almost looks like the river has a beach, which you wouldn't ordinarily see.
Exactly, but as the day goes on and as a hurricane passes this area, the opposite will occur and the water will rise.
Let's go to Rotunda, I believe, next. This is Rotunda Boulevard East. So we're a little further north now. So the wind is definitely starting to pick up, even in Charlotte County, in that part of the area. Clearly not as much as we saw in Naples a couple of minutes ago, but as Jim said, you would expect that based on where the hurricane is. But clearly, you see the palm trees, and you can see the puddling starting on the roads there.
Let's move now to Cemetery Road and Higgins in Fort Myers. There we are looking from a structure out to the wind and the trees blowing around there. No waterway right there, so we're just seeing rain, heavy rain in that area and heavy winds at this hour.
Let's go to the Northwest Cape right now. Residential neighborhood in the Northwest Cape. Winds are certainly picking up there. And, no water in sight, at least that I can see, but definitely the winds picking up, and this is not too far from where Brooke was just talking to us, so we would expect to see the winds picking up there.
Let's move to some damage that is starting to come in Southwest Florida, and there you see a palm tree from earlier today. This was taken on 6th Avenue North in Naples, and Michelle just took us down Gulf Shore, not far from this area. And there's a lot of saturated ground there and wind gusts that are blowing down trees already. So you can imagine this will get worse as we get into more hurricane force winds and gusts. And a lot of trees will probably knock down, as well as some power poles and power lines. And so if you need to be aware of that, because the emergency officials will keep you off the roads because of things like this until they have everything clear and they know that it's safe for people to be back in these neighborhoods.
Let's check out Fort Myers Beach. We're going to be wanting to check the coastal areas as much as possible. Well, these are the trees over Fort Myers Beach, but you can certainly see them blowing in the wind, starting to blow heavily, and we don't yet know a whole lot about haven't heard a whole lot about any water rising on the beach or anything, or being sucked off now as it would be. We can't see the coastline, but wow, the wind is certainly picking up right there on Fort Myers Beach.
Yeah, and that's at Diamond Head Beach Resort, which is where our crew is also staying in a safe location at this time and seeing things from outside their window at this point.
It's more like 12 miles an hour.
Let's go now to this. Remember when we were talking earlier
telling us
to
this story.
Oliver? Wasn't he telling us, yes, that these firefighters, they were trying to put up the red flag warning flags, and it was impossible. The wind and the gusts were just beating them up, and they were having such a difficult time doing it. There's exactly what he was talking about, and the gusts and the strong winds down in Naples. And at that time, I think, Jim, you said there was a 70 mile per hour wind gust at that point, but that is expected to get a lot worse in the Naples area as well.
It already has. We just had a report of a wind gust at Naples, 103 miles per hour. I want to show my radar if you can on my computer. I've got a couple of measurements I want to share with our viewers right now. All right, if you're listening on radio, I'll try to be descriptive here. If you're watching, it speaks for itself. The eye of Irma, we are measuring, is about 36 miles south of Marco Island. The northern edge of the eye wall is 15 miles approximately, a little less actually, because I had to draw that line diagonally so it didn't overlap the other. So here's the math. We believe it's moving to the north at about 12 miles an hour. That means the eye wall will have a chance to move over Cape Romano, Marco, Goodland, nearby Everglades City in an hour. Let's see here, in about an hour and a half. It's actually I'll say an hour. We're at 1:30, about 2:30, if it indeed is moving at about 12 miles per hour. Now, the actual eye moving along at 12 miles per hour, is now a little less than 36 miles away. That is still, as we've been saying this early afternoon, is expected to come on shore between 4 and 5. I would say if you had to pick a time, around 4:30. Of course, we will follow that, time it out, and let you know exactly. But already, triple-digit wind gusts are occurring. And if you live in the path of that eye wall, coastal Collier, Lee, coastal Lee, coastal Charlotte, get ready. As we've been telling you, this is the day. 100-mile-an-hour or stronger gusts are coming our way.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. We want to go to John Tenney, who is now joining us on the phone. And Mr. Tenney, thanks so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Now, we understand that you own a business in Naples, but that you are live in Bonita. Where are you right now?
Right now, we're right near the Imperial River, near Matheson and Dean area, that neighborhood.
Okay.
There are some homes being flooded already. Some people evacuated up to this house that we're staying in.
Now, yours, I understand, is on stilts, right? You're built up a little bit.
Yeah, that's correct. It's my brother-in-law's house here. He built it to withstand some pretty strong hurricanes. He's in the construction business, so it's all solid concrete, 12 feet in the air. We're safe here, but the people below us, next to that river, I think it's going to be rough.
Okay, so they're already seeing some flooding there. Could be from some of the rains rather than the surge. Would I be correct in saying that, Jim?
Initially, yeah, it's been raining pretty heavily because, as we know from showing you these live pictures, the water is still running lower than average. That's going to change quickly along the Collier County coast. Remember, we just measured the eye of the hurricane south of Marco Island, about a little less than 35 miles. So as soon as the eye starts to move a little farther north, you're going to get that onshore flow. And in Lee County, the Bonita Springs area will be the first area of the Lee County area to see that water begin to rise, and then it'll continue rising as you go farther north with time today.
So John, can I ask you a question? Do you have some perspective? What was it like when all of the flooding occurred just a couple weeks ago in the Bonita area?
Yeah, near my home, about a mile from here, water was already, 1.5 to 2 feet deep. We couldn't get to our house. So with this, I'm sure it's flooded there already right now.
Where is that in relation to where you are now?
About a mile north. It's the Shangri-La area neighborhood, and then the north side of Bonita.
And your business is in Naples, Valentino's Pizza, right? What precautions did you have to take to try to secure your business to make sure everything will be okay when this is over?
Yeah, well, we boarded up all the windows. We tried to put a couple sandbags in front of the doors to do the best we could. We emptied out all of the coolers, so everything 5 feet and below is okay. 5 feet above, that's going to be rough. We'll probably lose our computers and our food and everything that we tried to plan for waist deep, and that's the best we could do there. But right now the power's still on there. I'm running the security cameras. I just checked in on them, so everything is good as of 2 minutes ago. We'll see what's happening here soon.
Well, we hope you keep that connection with your business, because a lot of people are using that and showing us their security camera footage as well. It gives you some peace of mind, doesn't it, when you're away from something that you've worked so hard for?
Absolutely, that's our livelihood. If it wipes out, that's going to be pretty horrendous for our family. So we're just praying for the best.
Yeah, well,
we're praying for you. We really are.
Absolutely.
We're praying for everybody today, and we thank you so much, John, for joining us on the phone and calling in today to let us know how things are in the Bonita Springs area. I'm sure your neighbors appreciate it too, so thank you so much.
We'll talk with him soon too. Hopefully he can call back and we can keep checking on how he is doing in that neighborhood, because that neighborhood is one that we know is prone to flooding.
That's right. Well, the Florida State Emergency Response Team has activated its information hotline. Now, the line is active 24/7. You can call anytime for up-to-date information about the state's response to Hurricane Irma. And right now, Wink News is in the middle of continuous coverage of Hurricane Irma. But if you lose power, and we know some of you already have, there are several ways that you can stay in touch with Wink News. We are live streaming on the Wink News app right now, so you can watch there. Also, if you have a battery-powered radio, we are on 4 radio stations right now. Here are the radio stations we are on: 94.5 The Arrow, Fox News 92.5, 96.9 Wink FM, and 93X. We are in all of these stations continuously as well. So if you still have power, as Chris mentioned yesterday, a good thing to do right now is get your battery-powered radio already tuned in, because if the power goes out, you got it all set to go and you just turn it on.
You know, those are one of the things, if you still have power, you want to make sure, for all the preparations that you've done, you want to make sure that it's easy to find when the power goes out, because I've lived in my house for 15 years, and you know, at night when you're looking for something and you don't, it's not exactly where you put it, you go and you reach for the light, put it on to find it. There's going to be no light. So whether it's the edge of a kitchen counter or something, your flashlight with batteries, your radio, and things like that that you can grab to get yourself started right away, to at least find your way around the house, and tune the radio in and make sure that it's all set, because we'll be there for you on those stations and several others too. For constant hurricane updates too, you can head over to the Wink News website. Our time-stamped stories include all the latest forecasts, the updated advisory information at the top of our homepage. I know a lot of you are listening from other places right now, so that's a good place to go and keep updated. You can keep an updated list of hurricane shelters as well, the numbers to call for information, mandatory evacuation information, all kinds of helpful tips that from Chief Meteorologist Jim Farrell. And if you can't watch our broadcast on TV again, but you have Wi-Fi, you can watch the live stream online. Just look for Wink News Live. It's at the very top of the page on the Wink News app. Just go to winknews.com, or in the app, same thing, watch live.
And I have heard from a lot of people who have homes here who are out of state at this time that have really appreciated being able to watch live stream and see what's happening in the area while they're out of town.
Yeah, and we'll try to get pictures of your neighborhoods up too, so that whether you're evacuated or whether you're up north for the summer, you can kind of see what the neighborhood looks like. Comcast is offering free Wi-Fi to help get you weather updates and stay in touch with your friends and family during the hurricane. They've opened more than 137,000 Wi-Fi hotspots all throughout Florida, and anybody can use them. They're free. So to connect, go to your settings and make sure your Wi-Fi access enabled on the phone. Then if you're in range of a hotspot, you will see Xfinity Wi-Fi as one of the options in your list of available networks. Xfinity customers should automatically connect. You shouldn't have to do anything, but you can either sign in with your username and password, but if you're not a customer, all you have to do is click on the Not an Xfinity Internet Customer when you get to that sign-up page, and you'll still get to use the free service during the storm. Enter your email and your zip code to connect, and then you can renew this every couple of hours and have hopefully free and consistent internet as we work our way through this.
We have some changes in DeSoto County that we want to pass along to you. DeSoto County ordered a mandatory curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. effective today through the end of the state of emergency that is in effect right now. The only exceptions are authorized emergency personnel, people actively evacuating, and people providing emergency protection of their own property. And violators will be guilty of a second-degree misdemeanor. Now, these curfews are so important because if the power is knocked out, if trees are knocked over, if power lines are broken loose, it is a dangerous situation for you to be out on the road, and law enforcement is doing this for your own safety, as well as to prevent crime and people who might be have bad intentions and be in an area and not doing things they're supposed to be doing. So watch these curfews. We went through these curfews post-Charlie, and the law enforcement takes them very seriously. If they see you out on the road, they will stop you, and you better have a really good reason for why you are out there.
And that was just a shot of them on Fort Myers Beach, checking the streets there, driving by to make sure everybody's okay. Wink News reporter John Carlos Estrada is in Northport. Let's check in with him.
Hey, Chris and Lois, that's right. We are off of 75 and Kings Highway, and the winds have picked up here. But I've been watching my colleagues in Naples, and nothing compared to that. But we're getting prepared ourselves. I'm going to have our cameraman sort of show you what we're dealing with right now. The wind has died down a little bit. We're still seeing people come out of the hotel that we're staying at, going into their cars, checking things out with their cars, getting things out of their cars. But as you can see, pretty windy out here. There is one truck right over here that's pulling in. I do want to remind everyone that's in Charlotte County that first responders have been removed off the road. So if you have an issue, there will be no first responder coming to you. Now I want to show you some of the footage that we shot from our hotel room. We're on the 4th floor, so you can see earlier the trees were being bent by the wind. And I spoke to a few people that are staying here. This hotel is packed. I spoke to a man from New Jersey. He said that he moved here 2 years ago and has never experienced something like this, but he knows that this is just the beginning.
I'm very surprised because it's very quiet. You wouldn't even know a storm was coming. I think we're going to be in for a surprise pretty soon.
And we are pretty far up north right now. So right now we're just seeing the wind and a little bit of the rain, and we're preparing to brace ourselves for Hurricane Irma. Now, I do want to remind people out here in Charlotte County, there is a curfew that starts at 9 p.m., goes until 6 a.m. And again, it is very dangerous to be on the roads right now. First responders have been moved off the roads, and we are on the 4th floor overlooking 75 and Kings Highway. We have been seeing a few people be brave and go out there, drive it around, and it's not really safe to be doing that. Live here in Northport, John Carlos Estrada, Wink News Now.
Yeah, this is a time for everybody to be inside. You made the plans, you found the spot, wherever it is, stay put.
Hey, listen, the emergency vehicles are not on the road unless they absolutely have to be. They have pulled all their crews in. They are in a safe place.
Because it's too dangerous for them to be out there.
It's too dangerous. And if something happens to you and you have to call 911, they're not going to be able to come to you. So let's not be foolish. Let's keep ourselves and all of our families safe.
This is the part where patience really pays off. And it's hard, but we all have to do it. Let's get a look at what's happening right now in Fort Myers.
Wink News reporter Jessica Alpern is by Billy's Creek, which is right near downtown, with what she is seeing there.
Well, right now, tracking the conditions for you in Fort Myers, and I want to show you exactly where I am. You see all of these satellites right now. That is because we are right next to our Wink newsroom, so just on Palm Beach Boulevard and not far from downtown Fort Myers. I'm going to use this in just a little bit. This is our winds meter. It's actually Chief Meteorologist Jim Farrell's wind meter, and I'm going to show you those wind conditions as soon as we get one of those big gusts of wind. Again, these are just the beginning wind conditions we're going to start to feel here in Fort Myers. So once one of those wind conditions does come, I'm going to put this up to the camera so you can see what we're tracking. But first, I want to show you these conditions over here. Again, this is a body of water that you all, if you live in the area, know as Billy's Creek. And the reason I want to show you this is because we're going to be keeping a close eye on it throughout our coverage of Irma. And many of you may remember from Hurricane Donna, we were told that you were able to walk across it, and let me show you why. That's because as Hurricane Irma comes in, what it's going to do is pull all of this water north, and you can see the direction that it'll go. It's going to go towards the river. And so that's why back around Hurricane Donna, people tell us that Billy's Creek, they were actually able to walk over it. So a pretty crazy sight. You think about the fact that this water is going to go down just over the next couple of days as Irma makes its way into Fort Myers. And, you know, other conditions, again, not too terribly bad yet here in Fort Myers. We're seeing minor flooding in the parking lot. If I had to park my car over there today, wouldn't want to pick one of those spots on the right there because already collecting lots of water there. Sam, can we get a zoom in on all of the trees back there? That way we can give people an idea of what that wind is really doing. So we see trees, and here's one of those gusts of wind. I just saw my photographer actually had to get his footing right because we're feeling those gusts starting to move in. Sam, can we get a close-up over here if you're able to turn around safely and show so you can see those wind speeds starting to pick up again? These are just gusts of winds, so not clocking in terribly high right now on our winds meter. Again, Jim Farrell's winds meter right here, not terribly high. That's just a gust of wind. So definitely more to come as we see Hurricane Irma making its way, making its presence more known here in Fort Myers, but just wind gusts that we're dealing with right now. Of course, we will keep an eye on this area as well as the rest of Southwest Florida for you out here in the field. In Lee County, Jessica Alpern, Wink News Now.
All right, thank you very much, Jessica. And there's some serious words of warning coming today from people at the Lee County Emergency Operations Center.
I don't know how to say it in strong enough terms that people who are in those areas, that evacuation zones, if they're still there, they should seek refuge elsewhere. The tidal surges can be deadly. Above all else, we want to save lives. Property we can replace, but we just simply can't live with death if it's avoidable.
And also at the Emergency Operations Center, State Representative Dane Eagle with this warning.
To the evacuees, we have 30,000 that are in shelters, 5 million people in the state of Florida headed north. You're going to be anxious once this storm passes to come back south. I urge you to exercise caution and patience. Watch the media, watch the county news sites. They may not be accessible. The roads might be flooded, power might be down, water might be out. If you're in a safe and comfortable space and you can stay there longer, I can encourage you to do so. And to the people that stayed, this storm surge is serious. I'm born and raised in Florida. A lot of us wear these hurricanes as a badge of honor, having survived through them and lived through them. Wind speeds are one thing. This storm surge is different. This storm is a massive storm, displacing a lot of water. When those winds subside, you might be at your most dangerous point. You might lay your head down tonight and wake up with water on your floor or worse. Watch that patiently, be vigilant, and be safe. And you've got people here watching out for you. Thank you very much.
We've heard time and time again to be prepared for if your power goes out. It likely is going to. If that happens and you have a generator, here are some things to think about ahead of time. To save fuel, run it for several hours to get your essentials going, but then you can turn it off. Don't connect a generator directly to your home's wiring system if it hasn't already been done by an electrician, a licensed electrician. A generator should be properly sized for the expected load. For example, a 3 kilowatt generator will produce about 3,000 watts. Don't put it inside. So important. Don't put it in your garage. Don't put it near an open window. A lot of us aren't going to have AC after this for a while. The windows will be open. Don't put the generator near the window. Once you start running your generator, you have to be aware of carbon monoxide poisoning, and if it's inside, that can be a real problem. It's toxic, it's colorless, it's odorless, it's very hard to detect, and it's dangerous. Any fuel-burning appliance could put you at a risk for CO poisoning. Here's some of the big ideas. Never use that generator, again, inside your home or the closed garage. Don't bring a grill in, either, into the garage, particularly a charcoal grill. And if you ever are using one of these things and you start to feel like seasick on dry land, you're likely experiencing symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning, and you need to get fresh air right away. Here are some important phone numbers if you need more hurricane information in your area.
In Collier County, the number to call is 311. For Lee, Charlotte, Hendry, and Glades, you can call 211. Englewood residents, here's your number to dial, 697-4308, and select option 8. That will take you to 211. The number for DeSoto County is 863-993-4831. And keep in mind, these hotlines are experiencing a high volume of phone calls, so you may have to be patient in this effort.
Video is pouring into the Wink newsroom of some of the damage that's already left behind by Hurricane Irma. Amanda Hall is here to take us through some of that video.
Yeah, I want to show you some of that now. Take a look at the streets of Miami. Our affiliates rode through all the downed trees and debris this morning.
And another view here from a high-rise looking over Biscayne Bay. You can see the strong current. And if we can put this in the monitor, I can show you where the other side of the palm trees is actually sidewalk that we're looking at. That sidewalk now along Biscayne Bay is covered in water. Take a look at the damage left behind in Cuba. That man appears to be in a military uniform, and we've been watching people surveying the damage, walking through, trying to navigate all of this in the flooded streets. And already crumbling buildings in Cuba now completely destroyed, obliterated after Hurricane Irma moved through. If we can go to the next piece of video, you will see where a lot of people are making their way through the flooded streets. And look at what they're doing. They're going in between all of these power lines here. Video after video that we've seen coming in from Cuba looked like that. We know that power crews are working to go and restore power there, but the government is warning people in Havana to stay off the streets because the flooding there could continue through tomorrow. In the last piece of video I have for you, you can see the sparks flying as the transformers blow. This is also video from the East Coast. We also, at last check, I should tell you, power is out to close to 1 million people in our state. I'm monitoring the feeds from our affiliates around the state, and we have some incredible video coming in from many of you who are emailing it to us because we're already seeing the effects, of course, right here in Southwest Florida. So we're going through all of that. I know we've shown some of it on the air. If you're able to, of course, safely, not out in the strong wind, if you're able to take some photos, take some video, you can go ahead and email those to desk@winknews.com, and we'll continue to share them with our viewers on the air. Lois and Chris?
All right, thank you very much, Amanda. FPL is reporting 49,000 power outages in Collier County right now. Remember, don't run a generator, again, in a garage or indoors. Power outages are starting to go up there. I think we have Morgan Francis
Yeah,
now.
I believe Morgan is in Punta Gorda. Is that right, Morgan?
Yep, we're in Punta Gorda, just by the Peace River by Tamiami Trail, and we wanted to show, we're in our hotel room now because our balcony does not have protection. It just has a railing outside, but we can shoot out the window. And we wanted to show you, we're going to zoom into the marina just over on the other side of Tamiami Trail. And I've seen you guys show pictures of other marinas, and this is kind of the same situation that you're looking at in Lee County. Here in Punta Gorda, these boats are all on dry land. So the water has gone out significantly. And then in the Peace River, we also see there are some sailboats that are tied up and anchored out in the river. But this marina yesterday had maybe one boat on dry land, but since then the water has gone out that much more, and this whole marina, all these boats that are in there are on essentially dry ground. It is raining outside, but another thing I wanted to show you is in our hotel room, I put these towels down not too long ago, and this door is latched shut, but you can see as the wind comes through, it pushes, and Jim's been talking about this, the seepage that you're going to get from some of your windows and doors. I just want to hold the mic up close to the door so you can hear a little bit of the wind. And when some of those gusts come through, it pushes water straight through our towels. Our towels are drenched. I can wring this towel out, and I just put these down. I put the third towel down just a short while ago. So that's how fast. We're on the 5th floor. We're not on the ground floor here. So the wind is whipping this rain straight through our door into our hotel room. So those are some of the things that we're dealing with. We're putting down as many towels as we can, but you know, the ground's wet here. I think everyone in this hotel is going to be dealing with this. And you know, we're just getting started here in Punta Gorda as Irma approaches, guys.
Morgan, that is a great example because people will be seeing that as well in their own homes. And so people can do the same thing if they want to, put something down by your door where there's just a little bit of space between it, that those forceful winds will push that rain right in.
Right, it will certainly help keep things dry. Our Kim Powell is live downtown, or in Fort Myers somewhere. Kim, tell us first of all exactly where you are.
Well, we're outside of my neighborhood right now. It's just off of Metro and Winkler. This is where my photographer and I are seeking shelter while the storm hits. Right now, we feel just safe enough to walk around. We actually just took a lap around my neighborhood and we saw some interesting things. We got already some flooding right here as the gutters are getting full. Looks like some debris is blocking that one. Let's take a walk through this area. And bear with me, folks. Looks like this part. That's going to cause some flooding there. Now the wind is starting to get so bad out here that the rain kind of hurts, kind of stings a little when it hits you. So we're going to be seeking shelter here pretty soon. But again, we feel safe enough to be outside for now. It's just a little wet. Now this area, I see this volleyball court flood during just a random afternoon storm. So I can only imagine what Hurricane Irma is going to do to that. This volleyball net, I don't think is going to make it. Walking around this neighborhood, we have seen palm fronds everywhere so far, and the bands of wind just keep getting stronger and stronger. We're going to try to make it to the front towards Metro Parkway and Old Metro Parkway. It's just through this, past these mailboxes here. But we've seen people, not everyone in this neighborhood has a garage to put their trash bins in, so we've seen trash bins on the side. Hopefully those don't turn into projectiles at some point. Hopefully those are heavy enough, but who knows at this point. The pool area, we checked that out earlier. The pool seems to be okay as far as the water level, but we saw a door that's swinging open with supplies in it. Unfortunately, we couldn't open the gate to get to it to shut it for them. We might have to try to do that later. All right, so this is the front of the neighborhood. We're gonna walk through these gates here. See, some people are still taking advantage of this so-called nice weather that we have. People are taking walks. Not recommended, even though I'm doing it. And the speed bump's gonna trip me, so hold on one second. You can see just past this person here, that tree snapped already. It's already gone. And over here you can see some palm fronds down. We're going to walk through these gates here. here we are. We're just off of Old Metro Parkway. You can see palm fronds have already taken a beating. We would be lucky if we only saw palm frond damage. You can see a bunch of them right there. All across the entrance to this neighborhood is Forest Lake Townhomes. You can see the palm trees are just taking a beating right now. And I want to be able to show you guys the street, this intersection over here. The lights are still working, but it's only a matter of time until those likely go out. Let's see if I can get my photographer to zoom in on the street signs. You can see those are just swaying right now. It's really powerful. And then this camera that's closest to us, it's already bent. The other ones haven't bent from what I can tell, but this one is pretty badly bent already. And here's another bad band, so I'm gonna hold on to my hat because I've already lost it a couple times today. Wow, that one hurt. Yeah, this is one of those dangerous bands. We're probably gonna need to seek shelter. Caleb, look at this sign right here. The construction sign is just wobbling. Of course, it stops once I mention it. I see those trees over here. I'm really interested to see what those trees do during Hurricane Irma to see the aftermath here, but it's getting pretty hairy out here for us, so we're going to send it back to you guys so we can get into some shelter.
Good idea. Okay, thank you very much, Kim. And you know, she showed those traffic signals and those poles. A lot of them have all been replaced to withstand very strong winds from hurricanes. So they may fare better this time around than some of the previous, as well as some of the power poles. We've seen FPL and other major utilities replace a lot of the power poles. Those old wooden ones would break, snap. They've got those big concrete poles that are meant to.
Charlie and Wilma, because they had to replace so many. A lot of them are concrete now.
That's right. So they may fare a little bit better than some of the other things in our area.
Hopefully that will help. We have on the phone, I believe, Ada, who is downtown in Fort Myers riding this out in one of the high rises.
Her husband.
Oh, Warren.
Oh, Warren. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Trying to reach you. Yeah.
How are you guys doing, first of all?
You know, pretty well, actually. Surprisingly, from being from the Midwest, my first hurricane. Hope it's my last.
Yes, we hope it is ours as well. Can you tell us, you're in a high-rise, I understand. How high up are you?
I'm on the 25th floor.
Okay, with impact glass, I assume.
What's that?
With impact glass or shutters, I assume.
So they told me.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, they say other than the danger of it, it's actually a pretty interesting view. And a lot of people have come to High Point Place because they were told it was a, you know, very safe and good shelter. And so we've got a lot of families and a lot of people that have flocked here. And we're curious as to how safe this building is and a high-rise would be in this situation.
So we can't see out your window. Kind of describe what you're seeing from your vantage point.
Well, I look right across, you know, I look right into the Caloosahatchee. We're right on it, and you see the bridge going over to Cape Coral. And obviously everything's empty. We've got a little marina by us, right by Joe's Stone Crab, or Joe's Crab House. And that's pretty much the vantage. And actually, based on the type of wind and the velocity, it looks not too bad. You know, the waves are not high. You know, the rain's coming down sporadically.
Does the water look like it's lowered at all in the river, in the main part of the river where you are?
It does not look like it's lower. It looks pretty much the same. But that's an interesting question. Now I'm kind of looking at it. But yeah, no, it looks the same.
Okay.
Well, let us know if you can make a visual marker.
My vantage is south to north.
Yeah, if you can make a visual marker somehow and let us know over time here if it's going down, because we see it going down in the creek feeding the river right near us here, but if the river is obviously much, much bigger.
And Warren, you still have power, we assume?
We have power, yeah. I mean, everything is, except for my elevator stack, which we were told one elevator would always work, but my elevator stacks we can't use the elevator, so I'm pretty much stuck here.
Okay, well, that gives a lot of people in downtown some idea of what the power situation is there as well. So if you are shuttered in your home and near that area, you can get a visualization of what they're seeing in some of the high rises close by.
Yeah. Check back with us, Warren. We want to know you're safe and we want to know what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's like I said, from my vantage, it's eerily not that bad. It doesn't look. I've seen storms here before and similar. You would think the trees would be a lot more bent over and the river would be a lot more churning with higher waves.
Well, it could be a few hours before we start to see hurricane winds. So you guys be safe and take care of yourselves. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
All right, thank you. We'll check back. They have a great perspective, first of all, and to know that they're safe going through this. Let's go to Marco Island now. I think we have some new video here. Folks on the island starting to see tree branches coming down on the road. And again, Marco Island, this situation could change very, very much in the next couple to 3 hours.
Yeah.
We'll be watching that closely.
Absolutely. They're seeing hurricane wind gusts and very, very strong winds there. Of course, the island was under an evacuation order for quite a few days already. Most people have left, but this gives you some idea of what people, if you're out of the area, you're trying to get some news about your neighborhood. We are seeing some big trees broken off in this picture. So that is expected in this type of hurricane with the winds that we're seeing, that will have a lot of tree damage and maybe some power lines down. But if you look at the house is faring just fine in this picture. Of course, it's a limited view, but we just want to give people on Marco some idea of what's happening there. Let's go now to Fort Myers Beach, and this is video near the Diamond Head Beach Resort. And you can see the palm trees are always the trees that show the biggest motion in the wind because of all the fronds. But they are withstanding winds a lot better than some of the other trees that we have in Southwest Florida, some of the non-native trees especially that are in Southwest Florida. Winds are picking up there, and our crew at Diamond Head has been inside for the most part because of the gusts that they were experiencing. And the hotel there, very concerned about people going in and out. So we're trying to keep everybody as safe as possible there.
Yeah, we have more video from Fort Myers now, I believe. We're going to go to Metro and Winkler, and this is one of the neighborhoods we were just seeing. Kim Powell was walking us through this neighborhood, but you know, again, Lee County, we haven't seen the really severe winds start yet, but you can see in neighborhood by neighborhood here. Looks like a lot of people shuttered up there. The winds are starting, but as she was saying, a lot of folks, and there are a lot of neighborhoods like this. There's not always a place a garage to bring a car inside, or to bring the trash inside. Hopefully, you know, if you have a next door neighbor with a garage, get those things in, because those things absolutely will fly in a hurricane, those garbage canisters and those recycling canisters.
Yeah. Let's go to some video from our crew that's driving around Naples, and they were doing this earlier today, and they went to several areas just to see how things were progressing. This is before the current weather we're seeing in Naples right now, so it is not as severe as is going on right now, but you can see there's a lot of wind, some very, very heavy rain. When they stopped the car and got out, there was some very, very saturated ground already because of all of those heavy, heavy rain bands. Jim Farrell told us most of the rain is to the north of this storm, so we're seeing so much rain right now, so much of that heavy, heavy rain and downpours. But the roads you see, nobody's on the roads. That's a great thing to see. Roads very clear at this hour, but the windshield wipers are going as they're driving around, and you see some of the landscape damage. Palm fronds in the middle of the road there. This is probably now down near the Gulf Shore area, if I remember her saying. And some of the trees and palm trees on that saturated ground have been knocked over. But so far in this part of Naples, earlier today, this is at least an hour or two ago, there was not heavy damage caused by the early bands of Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, but the winds are picking up. Let's go to Kelsey Kushner live on Fort Myers Beach for us now. Kelsey, how are you doing?
Hey guys, yeah, I snuck outside just for a couple minutes because I wanted to show you guys just a little update of how it's doing out here. You can see some of the trees are blowing a lot more in the wind than they were this morning. Now, when I first got out here at 2 a.m., it was just starting to see some of the wind, a little bit of rain, but now such a difference. I mean, you step outside for 2 seconds and this wind hits you, and it hits you hard. Now, there is a pool down here. I don't know if we're able to see it through this screen, but some of the water in the pool is splashing up. It's already going over the edge of the pool. There's some branches in there. We're not seeing a lot of damage, but we do see a lot of palm tree leaves. They're down. There's some pots that are knocked over. Nothing too bad, but definitely kicking up out here. Now, I just want to say that we are staying at the hotel. We feel safe right now. We did just have a team meeting with the general manager. He told us that he wants us to pack a bag, and around 4 o'clock, when the hurricane's supposed to hit us the hardest, we are supposed to evacuate into either a staircase, into a ballroom, and kind of hang out for the entire duration of the hurricane. Now, for me, this is my first hurricane, so I'm a little freaked out, but he is making us feel incredibly safe. I feel really safe being inside this concrete building. So far, I mean, they have all of the windows boarded up through the hallway, so it's a little chilling hearing the wind pounding. You hear it howling. You can't walk anywhere. You kind of feel a little slip, you slide a little on the ground because a lot of people are coming in with their wet shoes. So it's dark, but I know that we are safe outside here. So again, we just have some trees blowing. Winds are definitely kicking up. The beach has some sand kicking up on it as well. So we will be safely monitoring the conditions out here. We'll keep you guys updated with how the beach is doing. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Kelsey, and follow those directions because they prepare those buildings just so they have a safe place for people to go and ride out the worst of the storm.
Go inside and be safe. All right, let's take you live to some different cameras around the area. This is from the Hyatt Coconut Point. This is Estero looking off from Bonita Springs, looking off toward the Gulf right now, and you can see we have noticed the conditions really starting to deteriorate in these areas here in the last few minutes. So we'll show you some of these live pictures.
And let's go now to Sanibel, to the Sanibel Causeway, and you're going to see, as Jim pointed out earlier, there's no water in Punta where the boat ramp is. The water has been pulled out. The rain is coming down very, very heavy right now at the Sanibel Causeway, and visibility is just terrible. Deteriorating conditions there at the Sanibel Causeway.
Yeah, you can tell the difference if you were watching a few minutes ago about how much worse it is there. Let's go live back downtown to Fort Myers, and this is right outside of our back door here, Billy Creek, and look how low the creek is. The water is still going out toward the river. Now, interesting that we just talked, because we don't have a perspective on the full river from where we are right here. But the gentleman we were just talking to staying in High Point Place was saying the river itself doesn't look like it's drawn down, at least in downtown Fort Myers, but the creek certainly has. You can see how high the dock level there where that boat should be.
Well, the river where that gentleman was calling from is about a mile wide, so it's quite a big wide area there, so maybe he can't see it from as high up as he was. But Billy Creek this is just a short distance to the river, so you can see what is happening there, and we will try to bring you this picture. Hopefully it will be clear enough for us later so that you can see the difference when we're talking about the storm surge much later today. Now, we also have some wind coming to us. Is this Cape Coral? Yes, Cape Coral, and you can see just the fresh water flooding from the rain right now. Just so much rain in that area. And remember, Cape Coral had a lot of flooded areas just a week ago, or a little over a week ago, right? And so the ground is already saturated, and these heavy rain bands are just dropping so much moisture and precipitation into Cape Coral right now that you can just see the ditches are full, the swales are full, the parking lots are filling up. There's a lot of water in Southwest Florida right now.
Yeah, we've got a lot more coming too. Let's go to Punta Gorda and Charlotte Harbor right here. This is at the end of Scott Street. So this is Charlotte Harbor right at the Peace River. And wow, look at that. You can kind of see those
are navigation markers, so you wouldn't see them.
You can see it right down to the sand.
Yeah, yeah.
You hardly ever see that. And
you're not navigating that today.
And the water is on its way out right now, but it certainly is going to be replaced and then some later on. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, that gives you some perspective on how low the water is right now ahead of Hurricane Irma, and it'll be interesting to see how deep it is after.
Hopefully that's something we only see today and never again, but yeah. Wow. Okay, this picture. This is where it made landfall. This is the first picture we have from Cujo Key. First landfall. That house is on a 12-foot stilt, and that's the water right up to the front door. So that gives you an idea of the storm surge that came in as Irma made landfall at 10 after 9 this morning in the Keys, not too far from Key West at Cujo Key.
Okay, we are going to go on to the phone now with Jennifer Mills, who is in Naples. Jennifer, thanks so much for being with us. How are you today?
I'm doing well, considering. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
We're fine, thank you. Where are you exactly in Naples? Where are you riding things out?
We are on Airport Pulling Road, right between the streets of Immokalee and Vanderbilt Beach, right next to Pelican Marsh Elementary in that neighborhood.
Yes, so you're in North Naples.
I am. I live in Bonita Shores, but we were evacuated, and so we are writing this out at my mom's house.
Okay, and I understand no power?
No power. No, we lost. We were surprised. We had power until about 11 o'clock, 11:30. Then we lost power.
Okay, well you've had some really strong wind gusts there, some hurricane-forced winds, so it's not a big surprise. And you sent us this picture as well. Why don't you describe this so
Jim,
people know exactly what this is?
Okay, because you have to understand, I've been listening to Jim for the last 48 hours, and I've been doing everything he says to do. We cut the screens out of my cage. I mean, I've been freezing bags of water, and then there was something very calming about him, so it became a joke with my husband and I, because once I lost power, I'm like, okay, I'm going to cut his picture out now, and then I'll feel a little better.
You know, hey, he makes us all feel better, Jennifer. So Jim is standing here with us right now, and so Jim, how are you feeling about that? They feel good. You're making them feel calm?
I hate that picture. Well, whatever.
No.
But she said they did everything you said. And
Who was that? I was busy.
That's Jennifer Mills. She's talking to us from North Naples.
Oh, hey, Jennifer, thank you. I don't know what you said, but I still have a job, so it must have been okay.
It was all good things. It was all good things.
New info in. I've got the 2 o'clock advisory. The strongest wind gust, by the way, so far has still been at Naples, 103 mile per hour gust. And we can fire up our weather computer. Well, actually, all right, let's see. I've got a picture here. I'll let this go. I just have a little time lapse. Let that play out and watch the water. It doesn't seem to be going up or down. It's hanging in there. So obviously at below average levels right around the corner from our studio on Palm Beach Boulevard. That's Billy's Creek, which leads out to the Caloosahatchee. This is new. 2 o'clock info is in. And hey, it's better. It's weaker. It's not of Category 4 anymore. It's Category 3 hurricane. The wind has dropped from 130 to 120. Still a major hurricane. And the air pressure has come up a bit. So it appears to be weakening. Now, we measured forward motion at about 12 miles per hour when Scott was measuring it on Doppler radar, and now the Hurricane Center says, yes, it is moving at 12 miles per hour to the north. So we're expecting a major Category 3 hurricane to come in Collier County coast, Lee County coast, western Charlotte County this afternoon and this evening. Here's an approximate position for 8 p.m. Take the icon out that shows you the forecast category, and you can see the forecast track right in here. Now, if this comes true, the eye of Irma may be just offshore Marco, but it might go right over the Sanibel Causeway and then into Charlotte Harbor. And remember that donut of windy weather surrounding the eye is going to go right along this track. So if you are within a stone's throw of that red line, you may have the eye come through and some very powerful wind in the eye wall. These are right now wind speeds occurring in southwest Florida. Steady, sustained, 49 miles per hour. Naples, Fort Myers up to 40 miles per hour. And these numbers will be increasing during the day. Let's take a look at the wind gusts. Naples did report a wind gust of over 100. Now the most recent report, 71. 61 mile an hour gust in Fort Myers. The Cape almost 50, and Port Charlotte 48 degrees. Here's the center of circulation. Look at how much rain there is for the state. All the way up to Jacksonville, Daytona Beach, over to Gainesville on the west side, southward through all of southwest Florida. Now the eye wall right in here, this is the northern semicircle. Here's Marco Island, 951, Marco Island. Single digits. The northern extension of the eye wall is now 8 miles to the south of Marco. The eye's farther south, but this is where the roughest weather is going to be. It's coming within the hour. In the next 60 minutes or less, this northern eye wall will be moving over Everglades City, Chokoloskee, Fort Myers, Marco, Goodland, and then it's headed for Naples. Take a look. Here's the time lapse. So we've got steady movement here to the north at about 12 miles per hour, preceded by big bands of rain. These feeder bands, extensive heavy rain, Still expecting a foot of rain or more in parts of the region before the end of this soaking, windy, surging event. Here's the surface wind. There you have it coming into Marco Island. And we still think there's a good chance it will be over the island or nearby the island between 4 and 5 p.m. Then the wind picks up out of the south and the storm surge event begins. The wind event is occurring now. The storm surge event gets going as the hurricane begins to move through the area. And here we go. If the eye is nearby Sanibel later this evening, the wind will be onshore from the Monroe and Collier County coast, and it'll be turning onshore over parts of the Lee County coast. So this is how it's going to play out today. Hurricane force wind sustained in neighborhoods near the path of the hurricane. I showed you that red line. Wind gusts near or above 100 miles per hour again in communities near the path of that line. There will be some very powerful gusts inland to Lake Okeechobee as well. And then we have to keep our fingers crossed that this storm surge event doesn't play out quite as bad as it could. But surge is definitely on the way. You cannot escape storm surge when a hurricane comes in out of the south and moves in this path. There's no miracle cure to that. The wind is going to come off of the Gulf of Mexico and it's going to push the Gulf right into the coast. That will raise the level of the water along the coastline, starting 10,000 Islands, Marco, Naples, Lee, Charlotte Harbor, the rest of Charlotte County, and then Sarasota County. So we are going to try to stay on the air as long as we can. I do want to mention that I know a high percentage of our viewers, and maybe this includes you if you're still watching, if you haven't lost power, receive our signal via satellite, whether it's Dish TV, I have that at home, I've had DirecTV. DirecTV, rain can block that signal. If you retain power, you still have power, but you can lose our signal because of rain fade is what we call it. As too much of a last minute suggestion perhaps. But if you have rabbit ears stored away anywhere in the house, you can hook those up to your television. You'll have to find the remote control, change the input from your HDMI 1, 2, or however you're getting your satellite signal to the antenna selection. And then you will be able to receive a very clear picture of what we are showing you on Wink News. Generally, it's going to be channel 11.1 or 2, one of those. Flip around. If you don't have rabbit ears, now here's just like a MacGyver suggestion. Remember that show? The guy could fix anything? If you have a coat hanger, problem is you have a coax connector on the back of your TV. And obviously a coat hanger is not going to screw into that. But if you can get the coat hanger and stretch it out, untwist it so it's a rod, and if you can get that kind of masking taped or taped to the outer threaded part of that coax, you might get a signal from the air into your input of the television, and then again go to the TV or the remote control, change the input to the antenna selection, and you will find that we are on the air if you lose our signal via satellite. Keep that in mind in case that happens. All right, let's take a look. All right, that was later in the day, 10 o'clock. Charlotte Harbor, now the wind's coming on shore for you. And then once the hurricane leaves, we are going to have an extended period of onshore wind. So it won't be, the water won't be as high tomorrow, I don't think, as it will be at the peak of the storm surge event later today, but the water's going to be held at the coast. The storm surge comes in, it builds up, goes up the river, the harbor, Gordon River, and then the water wants to go back out. Gravity rules. Gravity wants that water to leave where it's not supposed to be. But if the wind is strong enough, and it will be very strong tomorrow, that's going to keep the water at the coast. It's going to slow down the ability for that water to drain back into the Gulf of Mexico. So I do expect that tomorrow is going to be another significant day for flooding along the coast. So we will have to monitor that as we get there. You may never see this again. Take a look from our Punta Rassa sky cam. It's not wet. There's water there, but boy, where did the water go? It's been blown out to the Gulf of Mexico by these strong northeasterly winds. And as that wind continues to blow out of the northeast, literally it's moving water. It is pushing water away from the coast. And I kind of coined the idea of this. I call this now the Donna effect. This happened with Hurricane Donna in 1960. That's Billy Creek, right here behind Wink Television. And it is exposed. You can see some of the muck there along the seawall. That's not supposed to be that low, but it is. We've got the Collier County Emergency Operations Center on the line. Is this Dan? Dan Summers? Oh, a video of a live look video. This is a recent shot. We took these. Oh, this is live. All right. From the Collier County Emergency Operations Center, this is live. You are looking at the pine trees. Yeah, good. Good perspective. Back up a bit. Look how tall they are. They are, I would imagine, they've already survived wind gusts of 100 miles per hour. So, you know, if I was a tree doctor, I'd say, hey, so far so good. Maybe you will survive, pine tree. They've already made it through gusts of 100, probably because they're almost palm tree-like, so thin that the air is able to flow through those. Now, palm trees, as I'm sure you know, are very wind resistant. You know, Donna came through in 1960. If you're familiar with Fort Myers and the palm trees, the royal palms along McGregor Boulevard, they're still standing. They went through Donna. Wind blows through a palm tree very easily. The trunk is not the problem on a tree. It's like a telephone pole. The wind will blow around the trunk. It's the leaves, or in this case, palm fronds, that trap the wind, and then that resistance bends the tree to a potential breaking point. And of course, if it's in a stand of other trees, then the wind gets blocked by the trees nearby, and the wind's not quite as strong. So some trees will survive. Others are going to be snapped. There's no doubt about it. And this it's not too early to talk to you about post-storm issues. After the hurricane leaves, folks, it is going to, I don't mean to use terminology to make it sound worse than it is, but it is going to look like a war zone in that there's going to be a lot of debris all over the road, front yards, backyards. It's going to be a mess. Twigs, branches, mailboxes, you name it. Everything's going to get rearranged temporarily after these 100-mile-an-hour gusts come through. So as the wind dies down on Monday and the sun comes up, and you want to take the look outside, you're going to see quite a scene. I'm sure we're going to get bombarded with pictures from around the area of what it looks like. So that's coming. Don't be surprised when that happens. Ben's on the line. Is he at the Collier County? Oh, a viewer, Pine Island. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Doing fine.
All right. Talk to us. What are you seeing right now, or what are you feeling?
We're right now in Bokeelia on Pine Island, and it's going pretty good. We went out for a drive to check on my grandpa's place in St. James City, and we really saw the water levels drop crazy down off the canals and out off the ends of the piers.
Ben, are you watching the TV? Can you see the pictures that we are showing that you sent to us?
Yes, there they are.
Good.
Yep.
Now, I want you to walk us through these pictures. If we can slow down this little slideshow so he has some time to... is that you, Ben?
Yes.
When was that picture taken?
That picture was taken at noon today.
Noontime today. How long have you lived here, Ben?
I've been in Florida for about 3 years now.
Okay. So I'm going to guess the answer to this question is no. You've never seen anything like this.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
No, I have not.
Now, I know Bokeelia pretty well. That's just the northern tip of Pine Island. Is this up by the little restaurant up there?
This is actually at the end of St. James City, the very southern end.
Oh, you're not Bokeelia. You're St. James City. I'm sorry. All right, talk to us.
I live in...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I live in Bokeelia, but we drove down to St. James City to check on my grandpa's trailer that he has there.
That explains it. You are a resident of Bokeelia, but these are pictures from St. James City. What did it look like? You were there today at noon. This is just a snapshot, but as you looked around, what did it look like? Tell us.
It was pretty crazy. I was surprised to see that some of the trees have already gone over. I sent you a picture of one of those. A lot of debris on the roads, and a lot of trees looking like they're going to be going over on power lines. So
Talk to these pictures
doesn't
as
look
we
good.
change them, Ben, if you don't mind. Sorry to interrupt, but we've just got a new pickup. This, again, is St. James City, right?
Yes, this
Okay.
is.
And
that is at the bridge of where you cross over, and there's just after you pass York Road, there's a little bridge there, and that's the marinas in that area. A lot of boats sitting dry on the ground.
Wow. What kind of wind were you experiencing there? I know it's hard to guesstimate this, the exact mile per hour, but was it tough to stand in a spot? Were you getting pushed around, or was it not too bad yet?
A couple times it was. A couple times. I'm guessing around 40 to 50 miles per hour gusts at that time we were getting.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for checking in. And really, thanks for the pictures. Very high quality. There's a tree that you took that picture. That one is down. Now we've got live pictures from Fort Myers Beach with our own Taylor Bazaki at that location. What are we looking at, Taylor? Can you hear me? Can you respond?
Yes, I can hear you. Right now we're enclosed right now in our concrete rooms. We actually just lost power, but what you're looking at right now is outside the windows. As you can see, these are hurricane proof, but look below, look at the towels. The water is already starting to come in, and you're seeing and hearing that wind gust that is just pummeling this glass door right here. Now, if you also take a look back here, we have some backup power, but our rooms are completely out of power. We just lost them. We're feeling those winds and we're seeing everything. And I do want to show you some video that we took earlier that's outside. Obviously, we are inside right now where it's safe. But if you see that video that we shot earlier, we're seeing those palm trees bending, just about looking like they're going to break. We're seeing those stop signs. The wind is really picking up, and since then we have moved inside, but we can show you again. This is getting intense out here. We actually are going to start heading downstairs soon. We're on the 5th floor right now, but right now the hotel staff, there's about 20 of us all here. We're going to start heading down. They're asking us to start packing our bags, getting to a safe spot. Actually, we're going to go down to the ballroom where there's, like I said, going to be about 20 of us. We have a generator down there where it is safe, and we're just packing a bag and hoping to stay safe. We're going to put some of our stuff in the bathroom, and we're just going to start to soon hunker down here and ride out this storm.
Okay, Taylor, that's a great idea. You see the wind swirling outside that door and the rain causing all of that ponding outside the door, because we're not talking about storm surge at Fort Myers Beach at this time.
No, not at all.
We're just talking about those heavy bands of rain and the strong winds blowing it in.
And the eye wall is arriving now, Marco Island. If you grab the radar picture on our #1 weather computer, you will see time of arrival. I estimated around 2:30. It looks like we're going to be pretty much on target with that. Marco at 9:51. Look at that. Here it comes. The eye wall of a major hurricane is about to make landfall in Florida for the second time. The first time was in the Keys. Here comes landfall #2. I would guess within 15 to 30 minutes, if you are in Marco, Goodland, Everglades City, you are about to experience an eye wall and some of the roughest weather and windiest weather that this Hurricane Irma has to deliver. Please get ready for that.
Now, if you're there, how long will the worst of it be over? Let's say it starts at Marco Island. How long should you expect before the worst of it passes you?
That eye wall semicircle that is about to reach and move over the Collier County coastline from Everglades City to Marco Island, it's about 5-6 miles in diameter. And since the hurricane's moving along about 12 miles, so it's about 30 minutes, you're going to have extreme weather for about 30 minutes. Then if the eye does pass over Marco, it's going to get very calm, an eerie kind of calm. The rain is going to stop, or at worst be very light. And then you're going to have the second half of the hurricane come through. But notice, radar is not showing much on the southern semicircle of the hurricane. There it is. It's less than 8 miles away. I'm going to try to get another Doppler look there. Boy, it's lopsided. Look at the structure of that. You see the calm eye approaching Marco. There's not much on the south of the eye.
Is that does that show it's weakening? Is that a weakening sign, or what does that mean, Jim?
No, it means that basically, well, you've heard us say this many times, they're organized or the disorganized. It was super organized earlier. It was very concentric. It was very well distributed. Now it's lopsided with rain on the north side. But that doesn't mean all of the wind is on the north side. You can still have wind without rain. So it's going to be a rough ride for Marco here as this eye wall pushes through. There won't be as much rain on the back half, but it could be just as windy on the southern side.
All right, we'll get right back to you, Jim. We have Olivia Mancino live at the Emergency Operations Center in Collier County. Olivia.
Well, Chris, just within the past 30 seconds, the winds have really picked up here. As you can see, Jim mentioned earlier, these pine trees just absolutely going nuts in the wind. Now, a lot of us have kind of been cooped up in this building for the last 24 hours, so I'm going to have him swing the camera around. As you can see, plenty of people here are outside right now checking out this storm really before we get the brunt of it. As I mentioned, the winds are really picking up. I mean, check out the parking lot over there. The trees are just going absolutely nuts. We're all kind of bracing for impact here. We know we're going to get the worst of this storm soon. And look at that. One of those trees just fell just this second. It just got uprooted. We know that this storm is really about to hit our area bad. We're going to kind of duck for cover here soon and get under this overhang to make sure everyone is safe. But as you can see, the conditions here in Collier County are starting to get a lot worse. I will send it back to you guys for now.
Olivia.
Yes.
It's Jim.
Yes, I can hear you.
Get inside. Get away now, please. There was a tree that just went down while you were talking. Yep. There could be flying debris at any moment. Thank you.
Everyone's going inside.
Tremendous reporting, but please get out of the weather elements now.
Yes, and when you showed us that radar, you showed us how close it is to Marco. It is not very far from where she is standing at EOC. It's just not a safe time to be out.
No, this is Sanibel live right here. Wow. Do we know where on Sanibel? Oh, this is the causeway.
Okay.
Gosh, it's hard to see even through the
So this is not our sky cam. This is just a look at the causeway from Sanibel, and look at the visibility is just terrible right now there, and you can barely see the roadway made out there, and just an incredible picture coming from Sanibel and from some of the barrier island areas to us tonight.
Now back to a point, we were talking about Marco Island and we were looking at that radar image. If we can put the radar image back up again, because something that Jim explained to me while everybody at home couldn't hear, less rain on the bottom side does not mean less wind in the bottom side.
No, you're right. Obviously there will be less rain as that southern semicircle moves over and nearby Marco compared to the northern semicircle, but that doesn't correlate directly with wind. So we do expect you're going to get hit by a lot of rain, very powerful wind, then the eye will come over, it'll be calm and dry. And then the southern semicircle will come over, it'll be